Welcome to the High Ticket Success Podcast, where premium coaches, consultants, and advisors come for bold strategies, big breakthroughs, and real results. I'm your host, Dave Dubeau. All right, everybody, welcome back. Another exciting episode of the High Ticket Success Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Dubeau, and today I've got a very special guest, an old friend of mine, Dan the Man Lok, is soon. Not as old as I am, Dad, for crying out loud, but we've known each other. It's got to be close to 20 years now.
Yeah, we started getting to know each other when we were 5, right?
You look like you were 5. I know for a while.
My gray hair too, but good to be here, buddy.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So yeah, no, I've known Dan for many, many years. We first connected, I believe it was at a Glazer Kennedy meetup type things that was going on in Vancouver, and Dan was the speaker. And I remember this young guy getting up there and just tearing up a storm, had an amazing backstory, did a great job. I mean, it was a small crowd of us there, and I think he was sold a bunch of your stuff. And then I said,
Beginning.
I said, this guy's on fire. So I ended up getting you coming out, speaking at a bunch of our events when we were doing events with Fast Track years ago. And then we've done one thing or another for quite a few years.
We've known each other now, it's got to be more than 15 years.
I'm thinking it's close to 20. I'm thinking it was around 2005. Yeah, and we spent a little time on a houseboat. And we almost froze to death in Winnipeg together.
A lot of stories. I got a lot of stories to share.
But anyhow, Dan is an amazing entrepreneur, and he has reinvented himself several times since I've known him. And most recently, he's become a really, really big name in the high ticket space. Dan's one of these guys that has a gazillion social media followers. I was just checking out your YouTube channel, man. You're getting close to 5 million subscribers on YouTube. And he's, speaking of high ticket, he is the high ticket guy in the last 10 years, I'm guessing, or quite a long time anyhow. He's really, really focused on high ticket sales. So Dan, welcome to the show. Great to have you, buddy.
Well, thank you, buddy. Glad to be here. And I know you're launching the show and here to support, and we'll talk about war stories and, maybe some stories we haven't shared with the public. We'll see where this goes.
Well, see where it goes. We'll have fun to that. So for folks who aren't familiar with you, Dan, maybe just zoom out for a second and tell us a little bit about the basics, like who do you serve and what results do you help them get?
Nowadays, I'll tell a little bit of a journey and then how it's kind of evolved, right? When you and I met 20 years ago, I was doing internet marketing, as you know, marketing online. Also, on the side, was teaching internet marketing, like teaching other business owners how to market online, but mainly doing on our own, like e-commerce, affiliate program, affiliate marketing at the time, right? Very early on. I still remember, we were doing pay-per-click on, this is going to sound so outdated, but like Overture, right? And we were doing Yahoo, like SEO optimization. So from there, we did it for a number of years. And as you know, I started very early online, right? And then, made a decent amount of money, but it's good, but I never felt that I have tapped my potential. As you know, right? I have big, great ambition at a young age. And even all these businesses, some work well, some didn't work well. And the ones who did well, and we did well, which is good. But I think what changed my life is around 8-9 years ago, and I kind of bet on and went heavy on social.
You definitely did. I remember that. You pulled the plug with burnt your ships, literally. You deleted your database of all the online for marketing, teaching, training, and stuff, and said, I'm focusing 100% on this. I remember that.
Yeah. And then I say, okay, I think I could. I saw an opportunity, and I never in a million years I thought that, I would build this following. I just at the time thought it makes sense that maybe I could do this. And at the time, my target market for business owners is mainly Canada, right? A little bit North America, but it wasn't like global, right? So I remember, and that was 8-9 years ago, I was looking for some salespeople. to sell my offers, right? Because I don't want to be on the phone all the time. And
No, but what were you offering initially?
consulting services still,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
Mainly that was at the time, right? And for what my personal brand, not the other businesses, like personal brand.
Right.
And I have courses that I offer, and I wanted to scale that. And I would train salespeople, I would hire them, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, sometimes they work out so great, then they go work for my competitors. So it just dawned on me like, okay, this is kind of stupid. I spent all this time hiring them, training them, and I'm not getting the benefit. So I got the idea of maybe instead of paying somebody, I could get paid to actually train, and I could train some people to do this.
To be high ticket salespeople.
Yeah. So then I came up with a program called High Ticket Closer. And my goal at the time, and it still didn't have a big social presence, but I thought I would maybe train 30, 40 people, and then I would maybe keep 2 or 3. That was my concept. Well, as the saying, "Man plans and God laughs." Very grateful, and that program changed my life, changed many people's lives. And from that program, also timing, I would say also luck. It took my career to a whole new, like just that program alone, we've done about 50 million in sales, right? Just one program, not including just that one program. And then with clients from 151 countries, like it took what I do to a whole new level. And then from there, we, introduce other programs and different things, and which is good. One thing I did well and learned well, thank God, right? As I was generating, and buddy, I've never seen wealth at that level. Like it's like I make good money, but not this is
So that's good money.
yeah, like this is a lot of money, right? And as you know, I don't have shareholders. I don't have just me and my team.
Mhm.
And from there, I was able to put our money aside and started like doing some very serious investing, right? And now fast forward today, my day job is the CEO of OAD.ai, which is a AI that helps people to hire and lead better. That's my truly day job. I spend about now maybe 10-15% of my time still educating. I've got a group that I run called Dragon 100, where I work with entrepreneurs, help them scale from that 7 to 8 figure, right? So that's little my niche. And then I have a venture capital fund. So then I invest in tech companies. So I'm actually now a lot more in tech than anything else. My education piece then is more on the high ticket side. So I do a lot of different things, but I would say main thing is the CEO of the AI company and then investor on the side.
Okay, well let's talk more around the high ticket side, because that's kind of what the show's all about, and that's what we're trying to provide value around for sure. So what does that part of your business look like today, mid 2025? I know it's not your main focus anymore, but it's still chugging along. You still got things to do.
A significant business. Yes. So with that business, we still have the HTC program, the High Tech Closer program that we have. That's kind of what I'm known for, our signature program. And then on the education, like if you think about a value ladder, right? Then I have my Dragon 100, which is my high level group. And then from there, the highest level I have is actually investing and partnering up with companies. So I've got about 15 of those now, right? Where then I help them scale that as a partner, as an investor, as a strategic advisor. So if you think about the value ladder, it's like I would describe what I do. We are an investment company disguised as a coaching company.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you get people. So maybe kind of walk us through what the funnel typically looks like these days with people. How are people finding you? How does that kind of step by step look like getting them to?
So the value ladder, very typical in the front end, you have your social media, your pay ads, and you have your affiliate, which is all great, very typical marketing. And then my first entry, sometimes people might invest something from Dan Lok shop, like a small little program, like entry level program, or they might come in through a lead magnet, a free PDF, something that's high ticket related. And usually then we would introduce them to some sort of a half day or a 2-day, 3-day virtual event, right?
Virtual event. Okay.
Virtual event.
Yeah.
Because I have clients from all over the world, so virtual works better. And from there, then it could be through HTC, it could be through Dragon, and then from there it's partnership. So you think about all the way from A to Z.
So you got multiple different things.
Yeah, so it's interesting because when it comes to selling high ticket, people may be selling high ticket for something for $10, $20, $30,000, and they think, oh, I want to sell high ticket. I'm going to go to the marketplace and just sell high ticket. You still need to have the value ladder. So my lowest offer is free or something that's $49, all the way to Dragon X Capital. That's like, it could be like $500,000, $1 million. So I have all the spectrum, right?
Right.
It started with here, right? And then as you ascend and deliver value, and then you nurture and go all the way into partnership, which is then it's significant, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
So Dan, I mean, you've done a lot of things over the years. You're an amazing student. You're one of the best implementers I know. You take what you learn, and yeah, appreciate that. You definitely run with it better than anybody I know, I think. So what would you say your secret sauce is? What would you say? I mean, besides luck, because it's definitely not all luck. You put a lot of work into things. What do you do perhaps differently than some of the rest of us?
I think first of all, people will look at what we do and they think like, for many years we worked very, very hard, right? And it's like nowadays, if you were to ask me the question, in terms of like building a big business, like how much is that luck? Is it the entrepreneur? Is it the vehicle? I would say that before I would say, no, man, it's the person that makes all the difference. Now, if you ask me, I would say I think it's the market, the selection of the market makes the biggest difference. So
Selection of the market.
yeah, selection is more important than effort. Let's say, taking both of our skills, like we have amazing marketing skills, but if I was to ask you, hey, buddy, run a little grocery store, the margin, everything else, and next to you is Walmart, it doesn't matter what skill you have, you're gonna have a tough time, right? Versus if you pick something that is from a business model perspective, is scalable, it's bigger. And I think as an entrepreneur, we evolve. So in the beginning, as you know, I was a copywriter. Then a lot of things, what I do is more selling services, right? And then you evolve into selling now more productized services, which is kind of what you're doing, right? Productized services. As you climb through the ladder, this kind of staircase to wealth. And then later on, you might sell products that is not, so like a software that we do, that has nothing to do with my name. It's just a software, right? And at the highest level, like a venture capital fund, then to me, that's selling investment, right? And the money's in the money. So you look at the wealthiest people, you look at the Forbes 500, a lot of them are in the money business, right? Private equity, venture capital, so finance. Even McDonald's, it's not in the hamburger business, as you know. Yes, they're in the real estate business, but they're also in the investment business because they sell franchise, right? So you can see as we scale our skills, we can pick bigger opportunities. So going back to your question, is I think I've built a very strong foundation over the years, and also thanks to friends like yours, right? Like so many like people teaching and learning from them. And I just, as you know, many marketing people, we don't name names, like our friends, they stay marketing people.
Yeah.
They stay marketing. And that's great. But the problem is when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So they tend to look at everything.
Well, I think I could be guilty of that myself. Yeah.
Because we're good at it, right? Well, like marketing. And later on, when I scale the company, it's like, oh, actually marketing, because we've been brainwashed. Marketing is everything, man. Marketing is, but it's not. Then people, leadership, managing the team, that's a whole different skill set, right? And then later on, what I realized, leadership, managing a team, that's great. But when you understand finance and you combine that with marketing, you have a whole different level of leverage, right?
Interesting.
Now it's something that's like where you set up a company. Example, we may think, hey, we set up a company. What's the purpose? I want to generate a certain amount of revenue. I want to generate a certain profit. A lifestyle business, that's awesome. But if you understand finance, why I pick technology and SaaS because I can get a high multiple. I can build a $10 million company. The company could be worth $100 million. You can't do that with like
marketing and
there's no way, right? Yeah. And that's like it's you can exit, you can sell, there are many more things you can do. Then I'm just leveraging my skills and kind of bolt on some additional skills so I can take advantage of bigger opportunities. So I think that's a difference. Another difference is I think I can I can execute without as much emotional baggage. That's why
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
A lot of business owners, if you look at what they do, it's like you ask them, hey, do you know what you need to do to scale your company? Of course I do. Like most of them do, right? It's like, do we know what we need to do to lose weight? We do, right? Right? You eat less and you move more. That's one thing. But
Hey, don't get personal here, bud.
no, yo, right? But see, so then I'm like, okay, but I can execute without like being a perfectionist, less procrastination, or a lot less of what if. Example from, call that an influencer, right? Where you build this massive following on social media, which I didn't know how to do. As you know, I just made my first video, right? And it was very humble beginning. No one watches my content. I didn't know. It's not my nature. I just started doing it, learning how to do it. And that's one thing. And then with that, and then now the companies gets bigger. Okay, now I got to transition into more the CEO kind of role. That
the management role and
like management. Then I got C-suite and all these people. Oh, now as that gets bigger, okay, now we have money. Then I need to learn how to use that money and invest that money, right? And then from there, like then every step of the way, it's like the saying, I am not too smart to know that it could not be done. So and I look at my own career, I don't think many people, they would stay in one thing. Then if you ask me today, am I a marketing guy? Probably not. I have a marketing skill, but am I a speaker? Not really, right?
You're a business guy.
Yeah, I'm a business guy, and look at the things I do. It's very different from many years ago, right? So, and I don't have that attachment of, oh, this is what I do. That's what I continue to do. I just evolve. Yeah.
Nice. No, that makes a lot of sense, Dan. I've seen the journey. I've seen the evolution. It is phenomenal.
Now it's through evolution. I don't know where next thing.
Yeah, I don't think none of us know. I mean, things are changing so fast. It's insane. Yeah. Well, kind of getting back to the high ticket side of things, because that's been the basis of
what I do.
Your newest, well, your venture these days. You've worked with, at this point, thousands and thousands of people, teaching them, training them, helping them become high ticket closers. Yeah. What do you think the biggest hang up is for the folks that don't make it, that don't quite crack the code, no matter how good because it doesn't matter how good of a coach or trainer or mentor you are, not everybody's going to make it. So what are the biggest headspace issues people have who don't make it?
The tricky thing with selling high ticket, doesn't matter if you're a salesperson or you're a business owner, right? You want to charge more money, you want to attract high quality clients, premium clients. The hang up they have, and there are actually a whole lot of them. First is a lot of them, they project their own value to the clients, right? Exactly.
So what do you mean by that?
It's like, well, I'm not going to pay for that. So my clients,
I would pay. So in other words, I wouldn't pay that much for my.
Yeah, like so no one would pay me for that either, right? So they have a lot of these limiting beliefs, right? That's one, and even the good old programming like negative association with money and everything else. Like if I charge too much, am I taking advantage of people? Am I ripping people off? So there's a lot of guilt associated with that, and they also, I think the biggest thing is it's very counterintuitive. Because what it takes to sell high ticket is actually almost the opposite of how you sell anything else. I'll give an example, right? Yeah. So I'll take this water. That's a perfect example. If I was to sell this bottle of water, like let's say you want to buy a bottle of water, forget like just generic brand, how much you would pay?
$1.
$1, $1. Call that $1, okay? So take the same bottle of water And now, let's say you're traveling to a foreign country, you're in a 4 or 5 star hotel, you get to the hotel room 2 a.m., very tired just after the flight. You go to the mini bar, you say a bottle of water. How much is that bottle of water?
Oh, $10 at least.
$10, easy, right? Same water, right? Okay. Now let's take that same bottle of water and let's say now you are in a desert. You haven't had a sip of water for like 2 days. You are dying from thirst, right? You're like, oh, there's nobody around me in like miles and miles. I don't see a human being. Someone walks by on a little camel, right? Right? And they have this bottle of water. It just happens to be you've got $1,000 in your wallet, right? And you're dying from thirst. And this guy said, hey, you want my bottle of water? How much are you willing to pay for it?
$999. I got to save $1 to call my buddy Dan to bail me out.
Right? You'll be like, okay, I'll pay everything I've got, right? Now, one last example. Let's say the same bottle of water, let's say it is half drank. And just pretend this is real. That this is the last bottle of water that Elvis drank before in the last concert. And you can see you can see him drinking this. It's got his DNA in it. How much we can auction this for?
These days, probably millions.
So then the question is, what has changed? The intrinsic value of the water from $1 to $10 to $1,000 to $1 million, the intrinsic value has not changed. So what has changed is this: the where you're selling it, who you're selling it to, and when you're selling it. Is it a minibar at night? Is it in your desert? So when you're selling it? And I think most business owners, they spend way too much time working on the what. Like, how do I make the water taste better?
Right.
Versus the who, the what, the how, and when. And they don't strategically plan all those things so they can get the price they deserve. Versus, I think if my thing is better, then people would pay more. That's not the case at all. Like, if I try to sell you this bottle of water and I try very hard and I tell you this tastes better, man, it's $1. I'm not going to pay more than $1. Or maybe I'll duck $1.50. You're not going to sell it for $100. So, but then as a business owner, what do we want to do? We want to figure out how can we sell this for $100, right? So it's a very different mentality.
So when it comes to a typical coach or consultant that has their own thing that they're trying to sell, and they're trying to go big ticket, how would they apply that analogy to their particular situation, Dan? So
if you look at what they do, first of all, let's think of it starts with the offer, right? What's the offer? Actually, starts with the market, who they're selling to. If they're selling to people who's got no money, you got a problem, right? Or you're selling to people who you're selling a market that's declining, that's also a problem. So who you sell to is probably more important than what you sell, I believe. And why, even from let's say from an investing perspective, we only invest in software that sells to enterprise. We don't invest in software that sells to consumers. Not that they're bad, but we're not looking for the next Facebook. I'm looking for the software that serves Microsoft, that serves Walmart, that serves, like the bigger Fortune 500 companies. Why? They got money. They're more sticky.
Well, they got money, and once they get set up with the software, they don't want to disconnect.
Yeah, right? And I'm looking to get that 6-figure a year annual client value, right? So again, not good or bad. I'm just thinking that is much more stable. However, longer sales cycle takes more skill, more complex, right? That's fine. So who you're selling to, and the market. So market comes first. And then now you look at the business model. The second thing is like market, and then your business model. What is the best way to deliver this value to these people, right? And is that a scalable model, or is this something that as I get more successful, it would require more of my time, right? As I get busy, like speaking, right? You're a good speaker, great. To make more money, you got to travel more, you got to do more speaking gigs. Not as good, right? Versus you productize yourself, you make yourself more accessible, and however in whatever way, that's more scalable. So business model, right? And then you have the offer. What does the value ladder look like? What does the offer look like? And then at the end, you have your traffic, like lead generation, all the things that we all know what to do. So for coaches, consultants, the way I share with them is this: the 4 C's. instead of going out there and just sell your high ticket, look at what you do, and before you try to get the money, before before your prospects would give you money, they first need to give you time. Before they give you time, they first need to give you attention. Right? You're doing the podcast is a good way to get attention, right? You got to get attention first. So I teach a concept called the theory of consumption. So the 4 C's. So first, think about most coaches and consultants. The first C is connection. However you make that connection, maybe generate a lead online. Maybe it's a LinkedIn connection. Maybe it's an opt-in, right? So you have make that connection. Good. The second is what I call consumption. And the consumption behind it is the theory of consumption. For every $1,000 you want someone to spend with you, they got to at least consume 1 hour of your content. That's my theory. So you want to sell them a $10,000 offer, have they consume at least 10 hours of your content. Now, that could be a lump sum consumption, which you're a master at. Let's say an event. 2 days, right after 2 days, you make a high ticket offer. No problem, because they've spent 6-7 hours with you, with the speaker, and then 2 days, you can make a high ticket offer. No issue.
Right.
Or it could be micro consumption. Podcast, 20-minute there, 5-minute video there, 8-minute article there, combined. So it could be micro or lump sum. So second, you have consumption. Then you have what I call conversation. That's where your closing skill, all that comes in, right? Conversation, connection with the people. You have the conversation, you make the offer. And then at the end, you have conversion. Now they buy something. Now look at most business owners or coaches, consultants. They have the connection, they connect with somebody, email somebody, and they want to jump into what? Conversation. Let's jump on a call. Let's talk about this, right? Let's book. Grab a calendar. But there's no consumption. So the way I teach, it's very counterintuitive. I say you don't get on the phone with somebody unless they know you're somebody. And when you call them, you're the salesperson. When they call you, you're the expert. So don't get on a cold call. Don't do any of that. You don't talk to anyone unless they've done enough consumption. So that when you get on the phone with them, when you have that conversation, it's no longer tell me why I should do business with you. You know, what makes you different? Can you give me a discount? All those objections disappear because they're happy. They get to you. They're happy you're having a conversation because they know you can solve the problem. You don't even need to convince them. So you let your digital asset, your marketing assets do all the heavy lifting before you even do this. But doesn't that delay the sale? Of course it does. But it also creates tension. Where there's no tension, you cannot sell high ticket.
That makes a lot of sense, Dan. I guess bringing it down to a practical level, let's use an example of a consultant who, I don't know, sells business coaching of some sort, right? So that's the B2B type things, but for whatever, small businesses. What would you, so they're doing some lead generation, whatever they're doing online or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
How can they kind of accelerate that consumption part of things? I mean, because that's what everybody's going to be thinking. It's going to take years of micro consumption before somebody consumes 8 hours of content.
Yes.
Most people aren't reading full books these days.
Yes.
10-minute videos here and there. It's going to take a ton of time. What are your recommendations for getting that material in front of people as efficiently as possible?
Yes. So it's like we go to the marketplace, we look for signals instead of looking for sales. Okay. So take Elon Musk as a good example. Remember Elon when he launched the Cybertruck, right? So this is a perfect example of that. Yeah. So back then he had this idea. So imagine if this is where, when you understand finance, why he's who he is and why he's worth what he's worth. If Elon goes to JP Morgan, goes to Bank of America and say, look, guys, I'm Elon Musk. I'm thinking of building this truck they've never seen before, right? Mm-hmm. That almost looks like a toy, right? That's different from any other truck. That's powered by electricity. That looks like this. No one's ever done this before. I would like to build a mega factory. Can you loan me $1 billion? JP Morgan, Bank of America would say, hey, Elon, love you. No, you're crazy. No one's ever done this before. How are you going to compete with all these truck company? Tesla is awesome, but you are way out of your.
Yeah, you're too much.
You're nuts. Elon didn't do that. Elon said, okay, look, I'm going to build a prototype. I'm going to build one of two of these things. Even though the demo, if you remember, look, the client didn't went well. He said, look, guys, I am thinking of building this, and this is what it looks like. He's not asking, you want to buy one of these? It's 30, 50K. No. If you're interested, put down $100 deposit. I'm looking for hand raiser. And it's not going to be ready until 3 years, 2 years, right? 2-3 years. Who knows, right? Few years.
I think it was way more than that, but yeah, anyhow.
Yeah,
that's what I was
right?
say.
So we don't even know when you're going to get your thing, but put $100 down, right? Just hold your seat. Well, you got 1 million people. Put down $100. That's 100 million. Now, think about from finance perspective. He takes that $100 million. Now it goes to JP Morgan. Hey, Mr. JP Morgan, banker, right?
Yeah.
I would like you to loan me a couple $1 billion to build a factory because I got 1 million orders and I got 100 million cash. These are demand, right? Now I can go build this thing. Now, how does that apply to coaches consultants? So instead of looking for sales, what Elon was looking for was signals. I just need hand raiser. So you think about my value ladder. I do not let people take the next step. And again, it's counterintuitive until they've taken this step. So for example, if someone goes to my site and say, hey, I'm going to apply to be your advisory group, the answer is 100% no. Because I don't take on anyone unless you've gone through these steps.
Right.
Because what I've studied and I noticed in all these years, people will come in here and they're not ready and they're not as good as a client. They don't implement as well, right? And the chemistry, the relationship, it's just not as good. And the results is not as good, right? So if you have the well-built value ladder where they consume, they come in, and it doesn't matter through virtual event and masterclass or webinar, those actually matter less. But it's about having enough content out there for people to consume so that, because someone listening to this may be saying, well, but I don't have enough content. I don't have 10 hours of content. I have a $10,000 offer. Well, that's the problem. Then you'll always be chasing and hunting and it would never be, you would never have the predictability because you don't have the velocity of enough buyers. So with what I do, I have a list of buyers and I would nurture and they would mature in different time. Some, it could be as little as a day. Some, it could be as little as 10 days, 20. Some, it could be 2-3 years. It doesn't matter. But I have a velocity of buyers. So by the time you think about partnership and why my partnership works so great, because these are the people being in my group. I've watched, think about it. Someone comes into my group. They come in, they learn certain skill sets, and now the business gone from 4 million, let's say to $10 million. Let's say one of my business partners. So $10 million. Because being in the group with my help. The trust is very different.
Yeah.
But now I know how he works. He knows how I work. So now it's like, wow, why the investment does so well? Yeah, I kind of been watching a guy for 3 years. Like I'm betting on a winning horse. I'm betting on a winning jockey, right? So now it's much easier to take something that's good to great than like terrible to good. So that out of all the members, I just look at who I could partner with, and that's where a lot of the equity and value is created, right? So this is like just this how I do it. Versus you go there, you look for sales, you cold call, you try to chase people. That just doesn't work. They gotta want it. They ask you.
A ton of sense. That makes a ton of sense. Hey, buddy, you know what? Time flies when we're having a great conversation. I'll definitely have to have you back. I'd love to dig into this more in depth, that's for sure. But if people want to connect with you or find out more about Dan Lok, what's the best place for them to go and do that?
I can just go to danlok.com, and that's the main site that I have.
That is fantastic. Hey, bud, this has been great. I really appreciate you being one of my very first guests on the High Ticket Success podcast. Can't think of anybody better to talk about high ticket stuff than the high ticket guy himself. So, my friend, thank you so much.
No, thank you, buddy. That was fun. And I hope that helps your the listeners and they get a little bit of insights about what they do. And it helps them in a small way, then I'm happy to hear that.
I'm sure it helps them in a big way. Always does. Thanks for being on the show, everybody. Thank you for turning in. See you on the next one. Thanks for listening to the High Ticket Success Podcast. Want to be featured? Share your story and inspire other premium coaches, consultants, and advisors? Apply now at highticketsuccesspodcast.com/guest.